Alright guys, it is Sunday morning and just had some coffee and I purchased a couple of bathroom scales. We're gonna do a little experiment with the bike and with changing my stem setup. So I've got a really small 18 mil Rulezman stem, which I'll show you on the bike and the setup, and we'll do some shots of me on the bike, and you can see my riding position. It's a killer stem, puts me in a killer position, but my bike frame is too short to run a short stem. I need to be a little more stretched out. So what that does is it puts me, that shorter stem is putting me farther back on the bike, so my weight is too far back, and I have a feeling I'm just not getting enough weight on the front wheel. So what I did was I got two scales to put under the front and rear wheel, and I'm just gonna basically film myself standing on the bike, standing on the pedals, natural riding position, leaning against the wall, and then looking at how much weight is on the front wheel, how much weight is on the rear wheel, and how that changes as I go to a little bit of a longer stem. So I normally ride a 42 millimeter stem, which matches my fork offset, but I went to a super short stem just because it's higher up, just a completely different setup. So I wanted to try that. And then I have a 30 mil I9 stem, which is kind of a little interesting little happy medium. So we're gonna throw that on today. I have ridden with the short stem. The shotgun video that's currently up on my channel right now from like a week ago is with that short high setup, different bars, different stem. So it is rideable. It's amazing in steep terrain. Less steep stuff that's loose, not enough, it feels like there's not enough weight on the front wheel. So the front feels a little loose, a little slippy, feels very inclined to slide. So, gonna go to my storage unit where my bikes and stuff are. We're gonna set up these two scales. In fact, here, I'll show you. Got both of them, and we'll get that set up and see how that looks, and then I'll show you the different stem setups and what I'm gonna test next, and hopefully you guys can see that, you know, sometimes to get to the perfect setup or to get dialed in, you've definitely got to try a few things. So let's get on the road. I got Snacks with me, who's always with me. There she is. What's up, Bubba? Come on, girl. Hey, in your seat. Sit down, sit down. There you go. Good girl. All right, we are off and running. It's 10:30 in Mammoth Lakes, California. It's already 68 degrees, so probably be about 10 degrees warmer down by the airport. So we're gonna head down there and show you kind of like what I was riding, what I am riding, and what I'm gonna try next, and kind of show you what I'm going for, and give you some impressions in terms of like how it's changed my riding, how it feels being a taller rider, being in a little bit more of an upright position, and maybe you can get some takeaways that will help you dial in your position when it comes to stem length and your style of riding. So we will turn the cameras back on when I get there, and we'll go from there. What's the matter? All right, I just had a quick thought while Snacks is trying to hold my hand here. One of the things I think this will really help people kind of also, or help you get an idea of, is what, Snacks, sit down, is what does changing your stem length or the rise in your handlebars, like what does it do? How does it affect your riding position and the terrain that you can ride with those setups? You know, being over the bars, having your head forward, your body thinks it's falling, and it kind of goes into a weird little fear mode. And one of the things I noticed when riding this new setup that you're going to see shortly here is that I'm in a much more upright position. If you know who Dakota Norton is, he's races for Mondraker Summon, and he's got some like 70 mil high rise downhill bars, and his riding position is much more upright, which in steep terrain doesn't feel like you're actually going down something that's deep. So hopefully you guys can see like what the changes will do, and then you can look at your bike setup and kind of extrapolate. All right, you know what? I'm 6'4", my stem is, you know, long or short, and it's not that high, my bars aren't that high, and I'm in a much more, you know, leaned over position, and then show you the difference what stem length does also, and the rise of the bars. So I think, you know, a lot of people just think that because they're, you know, the bike comes a certain way, that's how it's supposed to be, or that's how, you know, that's the position you're stuck in. And I've been experimenting with bike parts and setups for, you know, 30 plus years, and still to this day, like you'll see the crazy stem I bought. So just had that thought, wanted to get that out, and we're actually just pulling up to my storage unit. So let me get parked, and we'll get things going inside. All right, so just real quick here, I want to show you the stem I'm currently on. This is the Rulezman stem. As you can see, the handlebars sit right on top of, so here's the stem cap. This is the cap holding this down to the fork tube, and you can see the bars are actually on top of this versus out in front over here. So if I move that around, you can see how short that stem is, and also the height it has. So usually your bars are going to be down here. So this adds extra height, and then if we pull back a little bit, we can see the bars I've got running right now are a 50 mil rise NV downhill bar. You can see I've got height because of the stem. The handlebars are up here, and then these bars sweep way up, so they're much taller compared to a 35 mil rise bar, which I will show you in a second. So this is what I'm on now. It's a little too short for this frame, and we're gonna get this bike outside on the scales and kind of see what the balance point is like currently, and then I'm gonna switch to this stem right here, I9 stem, and I'll pull it out of the box. So we're gonna go to this shorter stem. So this, actually, do I have this right? There we go, like this. Have that a little backwards. The fork tube's gonna go where my finger is, and then the hole right here is where the handlebar's gonna go. So this has a little bit of a rise, it's very short, and we're gonna see the difference. This will drop my bars. So running with this will drop the bars down probably over here, which is okay. Still gonna have a nice upright position, but I wanna see how this changes things in terms of the balance point, my position, and how much weight is forward on the front wheel. Okay, so let's get that outside and we'll get that set up. Okay guys, this is the Kenevo SL set up with the Rulezman stem. This is how I've been riding it the last couple of days on the mountain, and I'm gonna lean against the wall here if I can. And let's get an idea of how upright the position is. So sitting, it's very upright. Standing, I'm like this. But as you can see, this is a little too far this way. It's a little too short. I need to be out a little bit more. So when I'm riding my butt, when I'm in the drop position, I've been like way back here, right? Which is good in some positions, but unless you're on super steep terrain, it's a little too much. So I had a 42 mil stem. We're gonna put a 30 on. I've got a car coming. Let me move this. So I was saying, I was on a 42 mil stem by Tenet, T-E-N-E-T. Great company. This is the 18, which is bringing me back this way. If I had a longer reach bike, so if this part of the frame was out here, probably at like 510 or 520, I think this would be a perfect stem. But for this specific frame I have right now, the S4 Kenevo SL, it's too short. Hi, Bubba. What are you doing? You wanna help me out? So again, my position was like, this is kind of pretty neutral right here. And it's a little too far back. I could be a little farther out. And maybe 42 might actually be the sweet spot. So I may be going back to what I started with, but I'm gonna experiment and see how all the different setups make a difference and how they feel when I'm riding on the bike. So let's get the scales out. I'm gonna put them under the tires and see where the weight difference is between the front and the rear, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I've got the bike on these two cheap scales, kind of bathroom scales. So one's at, the rear right now is at 25. And the front, which is funny, is let's see what the front's at. Yeah, the front's hardly feeling anything, but it's yeah, this is not going to be super accurate, but interesting to see what happens when I step on the bike. All right. So, in a semi-neutral position, the front is at like 80, and the rear is at, Jesus, close to 140. 140 and like 73. So that's like that, okay? Yeah, so I'm gonna say 75, real close to 80, and this is just relaxing. And then 130, probably 130 in the rear. Okay. All right. So 130, 70. So now I'm gonna switch the stem out and put the longer stem on, the 30 mil from I9, which will put me a little farther out and the bar a little bit farther down. So instead of being so far like this, it'll probably be a little more like this, which might be a little better position. Still pretty upright though. So, and then I want to come and see what it does to the numbers in the scale. So, not the most accurate experiment, but I think it will still give us a good idea of what that stem change does in terms of weight distribution on the bike. All right, so we're gonna get this stem set up, taken off. This is what the stem looks like, okay? It was like that. So handlebars were sitting up in here like this. So the handlebars were up in here, okay? Right, and the top cap is right on top. So very short, but also tall in this manner. All right, so I'm gonna get the I9 stem and we're gonna get that put on next, put the handlebars back on, jump back on the scale, and kind of see what that does in terms of weight distribution, if there's anything noticeable just on the scales. Okay guys, I've got the new bars on. You didn't need to see me struggle with this. Doing this against the garage door was not the right place. So I'm gonna go ahead and torque these up. You know, it's interesting with these bars, knowing exactly where they need to be to have the correct rise and sweep. So that will affect things a little bit, but I try to get it back in the same spot as I had before. Again, that's really up to interpretation and personal preference too. So it's just another variable to look at when kind of dialing in your setup, especially when you're changing and messing with the cockpit up here, the bars and the stem. All right, so that's tight. Let's get these tight. Same thing, 5 to 6 Newton meters. There's a click. And there's a click. So this is supposed to be 50 mil, like 5 centimeters, which I think it probably should be. But these can be rotated forward or backwards more. I think I'm pretty close to how it's supposed to be. So Let's throw it on the scale, and we can take a look at how it looks compared to the old setup. It's still pretty high. One thing to say also is that this ground isn't perfectly level, like left to right. So we're on a little bit of an angle, which could be affecting the scales, but all things being equal, the only thing we've changed is the stem setup. So let's jump on and see if we can see a difference in the numbers and how things look. So yeah, I'm seeing 80 and closer to 120 on the rear. So changed it a little bit. I also think the handlebars can be rotated forward a little bit more too. Just not quite sure what 4 degrees of sweep is. But yeah, if I look at these grid lines, I'm pretty close to probably where it should be. But there is a noticeable difference on the scales in terms of like the numbers I'm seeing. So before I was at like, I think 70 and 1. So this is closer to 80, 85. And the back I'm seeing the line, like, look, the angle I'm looking at, it's probably not at 120, but the red line is lining up over 120 because I'm looking backwards. So, of course, I can't remember what I said before, so I'll have to look at the edit and comment on that. But yeah, definitely a difference. Still pretty upright. If I were to roll this forward a little bit, it would still give me a little more of an upright position, and that would make a difference. So, yeah, let me ride through camera and see how it looks. But yeah, yeah, I think the bars need to be rolled forward more. That's my instinct. It needs to go forward this way a little bit. So, anyways, I'll take a ride on it. Spin around the parking lot here a little bit, see how it feels. But there was definitely a difference. I don't know if I'm in frame or not. There was definitely a difference on the scale in terms of a little more weight on the front. Not, significant, but definitely more. All right, guys. So I looked up the sweep, which is how far the bar's been back on my Envy bars, and they are an 8-degree sweep. So I actually printed out a little clip art of 2 lines at 8 degrees, went and checked it. It's pretty close. I might actually be a little too far forward, and I should probably be back a little bit, but it's probably maybe at 7 right now. So my instinct says that I may end up going back to my 42 mil stamp, which is this. So I had the 1-up, 35 mil rise, 42 mil tenant stem. And we can have a picture like that. So the Envy bars I'm on now have a larger, they come up higher, which I do like. I like the upward position. So I'm gonna ride this setup. The weight numbers were different. So a little more weight in the front than the rear. It wasn't close to being balanced. We were at like 80, roughly 80 in the front, 120 in the rear. So again, that's an argument for longer reach, longer chain stays, but that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is, if you feel like something's off or you're not sure what stem length to go with, definitely experiment, play, do your research, look at what reach your bike is, what stack it is. And again, all of this has to do also with how tall are you? What riding position do you like? What kind of bike are you on? Are you on cross-country, trail, enduro, downhill, park? What are you doing? And how does your position need to be on the bike? So, that being said, that's it for today. I'm gonna ride the bike tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and get some initial impressions, maybe get some trail footage up at Mammoth Bike Park, and see how this little change has made a difference. And do I need to go back to a 42 mil stem? And if I do, I'll probably get an i9 because they make a nice one that is a 31.8 clamp. This is a 35 mil clamp, and One Up doesn't make a 50 mil rise bar. Otherwise, I would use this stem and put a 50 mil rise bar in it, but that may not happen. So, anyways, go out, ride your bikes, and again, thanks for watching. If you're getting value out of this, or if you have any questions or comments, let me know down below. And please hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel. And I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.